This October, I just have one question for all of you.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Cam and welcome to ScaryMania 5. If you're new around here, this is my big Halloween series where I review 31 horror movies in 31 days, inspired by James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd, and his horror review series Monster Madness. This year, however, I'm going to do things a little bit differently. I'm going to tie things together with a theme. Now, I've done themes before where I've reviewed sequels to movies I've already covered. However, this year, it's a distinct theme, and I'm taking a look at the decade of the 90s. Now, with the 1999 project ongoing on the channel, I figured cover a bunch of horror movies from the 90s. Why not? And to be honest, I picked some pretty decent ones. I won't brag too much about it, but this is always a series that I look forward to every year. You're going to see a lot of returning guests plus some new ones. So it's going to be 31 days of uploads here on the channel, all horror movie reviews, so stay tuned for all of those. But let's kick things off this year by taking a look at a bizarre little oddity called Jacob's Ladder. Jacob's Ladder was directed by Adrian Lyne and starred Tim Robbins. Robbins plays a soldier who, upon returning from Vietnam, starts to see things that he cannot explain, horrifying visions, and he begins to connect these visions to something that he probably should not have seen in those jungles of Vietnam. This movie actually was about a decade in the making. One of the producers had the idea of creating this movie after having suffered a nightmare after being trapped in a New York City subway. I've been in the New York City subways. You can make several horror movies based off of what you see in a New York City subway, but I digress. When Adrian Lyne was approached about directing the film, he found himself pretty intimidated because the material was so deep, but he took on the challenge anyway, and Tim Robbins was the first choice for the main role, and he is the best part of the movie. He sells not just the trauma that he's experiencing, but also the what the hellness of what is going on to him fairly well. The visions, when we do see them, are actually pretty unnerving. There is a scene in which Robbins's character has a vision of himself getting a lobotomy by a man with his eyes covered up Pan's Labyrinth style. The visions, some of them are actually quite frightening, but there's a lot of ground to cover in between those visions, and a lot of it is not really super great. The movie is 113 minutes long. You definitely feel the length at times. There are parts of the story where you see Robbins's character has a son played by Macaulay Culkin in 1990, the same year as Home Alone. Yes, really. Like, he's trying to keep in contact with his son. He has this woman that he's seeing, and she's getting freaked out because he's not letting her in. He's trying to connect all these pieces. These shadowy government officials come in. There's just a lot going on here. And I feel like a lot of it could have been just a bit more interesting, I guess. There's a car chase, fine, that's all well and good. And then the visions are genuinely unnerving. But other than that, the movie kind of feels like style over substance. And then at the end, the movie tries to tie back to this is based on real experiments that actually did in fact happen, which, okay, nice to bring awareness to that, but it's almost a little too late in that regard. Regardless of that, though, the movie, when it is on, it is effective. I am going to give this a good rating. This is not particularly an amazing movie, but it works for what it's going for in bursts. But this is just day one, and we got 30 more days to go. Your prayers are greatly appreciated.